I gotta be shy. Because I'm leaning over on, I don't even lean on top of you. All right. Are we on?
We are.
Oh, hello, everybody.
Hi, Lehigh Valley Adult Services. Welcome. So this is where it gets confusing. So while y'all are logging in, I'm going to show Vicky some things on here. It says that there's 5 people, but there's definitely more than 5 people on.
Oh.
So the numbers don't match. So sometimes it's confusing. Anyway, welcome. Hey, Mary, I'm guessing you're with Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Shantae, please tell Beth. Oh, wait, you're not. Denise is there. I just spoke to Bethany earlier today. She's having a wonderful day.
Oh, wow.
Hi, Terry, Kaylee, Cindy, Mary, Anna. We want to give everybody a little bit of time to catch up and log on. And while we're doing that, I just received guidance this morning from the Secretary for the Department of Aging for telling us how to reopen our older adult day program. So if you work in our older adult day program, that information will be coming out soon, because once we're in the green, it will be a phased transition, just like we were saying we would do anyway. So it's coming. That's the best I can do and say.
Are you all ready to come back?
I'm ready for you to come
Me
back.
too.
I'm ready.
Yep, we miss you guys.
Oh, Mario, no, I'm home. Hi, Liz. I just saw you in the hallway a minute ago, Liz. Hello. Hi, Winsome. This is the hard part. So it takes everybody forever to log. All right. So in other news, we want to have a couple of really serious conversations with everyone today, especially in light of world events. Everything from COVID-19, we have protests and riots happening. We have an economy that's not doing well, high unemployment rates. It feels like the world is just going crazy, and we wanted to take a minute to talk to you about a bunch of things so that you can hear directly from us, not from anyone else, thoughts, opinions, and we want to give you an opportunity to ask us questions and for us to share with you where we are.
That sounds good.
So
we're never around together, so this is actually different. So we're here, and we
go. Can we start by talking about the Black Lives Movement? And you're probably wondering, all right, the point of this call is was always to discuss our COVID-19 response plan, what we're doing and how we're doing it. It kind of everything is melding and molding together right now. So right now, all across, not just the United States, the world, there are protests, there are riots, there is some looting, there are social media campaigns that are happening with people expressing their displeasure over the treatment of African Americans across the United States, the senseless killing and violence, systemic racism. And it's not just actually happening in America. If you watch the news, it's happening all over the world. They are protesting about the treatment of Black Americans. So what we wanted to do is explain to you our thoughts and feelings as a company. We are a minority-owned company. It's minority from female to Black to I don't know what else. We're minority.
Minority. That's what we are.
And so we want to take a moment and just talk about it, especially if you're planning on whatever your thoughts or feelings are, if you're planning on going out and protesting, or even if you're planning on doing something on social media just to stand in solidarity with others. We just want to talk to you and give you a chance to ask us some questions, if that's all right. Yes, I had something that I was prepared to say. Hold on.
So for those of you who are contemplating or thinking of any ways to protest, as John says, in solidarity or upfront. Now's the time to ask us any questions about our background and the things that we believe and our thoughts. And more importantly, how you're feeling. Because things that are happening outside of the world affect how we operate in our workplace. So we want you to feel comfortable so that you can be healthy mentally, physically, and whole as you're doing things for Lehigh Valley Adult Services.
You know, one of the things I think early on we did when we first opened, we decided then that we would be a multiracial, multi-ethnic company, and we would value everyone's thoughts and opinions. Um, if you look at your coworkers, your colleagues, they come from every walk of life. There are not just blacks, there's whites, we have Hispanic colleagues. We have some who are immigrants, and by when we think of immigrant, when I think of immigrants, and this might be part of being a systemic racism, I always think of naturally people who come from Africa. But that's not just the only immigrants we have. We have quite a few immigrants from other continents and other countries. Um, we are a multiracial, multi-ethnic company, and we do our best to value everyone's opinions, not just because of the color of your skin, but because of what you're bringing to the table. Um, and here's what we want you to know. We stand against racism, inequality, systemic injustice, white supremacy, police brutality, and we are proud of who we are and of our diverse family, our diverse community that we've built here at LVAS. We're committed to diversity, we're committed to inclusion. We have staff we have LGBTQ staff. We are proud of who we are and who we have become. We are aware of the emotional toll that the latest events can have and have taken on you. And we want to remind you to take care of yourselves. You have a support system here. If you're feeling overwhelmed, we want you to reach out. Reach out to your supervisor, reach out to HR, reach out. We have a huge clinical team. We have people who can actually help you. And if they can't help you, we can point you in the right direction. Matter of fact, our insurance will allow you to see a specialist if it's to that point. But we wanted to take a minute. The world is crazy. It is crazy. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge what's happening in the world, whether it's COVID-19 or protests and riots. We're acknowledging, we're not blind to it.
Our current events of today. We are a melting pot, and we're proud of it. And we're proud of you for being a part of our world.
Do any of you want to ask us questions? Do any of you want to know anything? Is there anything specifically that and we're never together with everybody where you have our undivided attention. Is there anything we can answer for you? Is there anything, or how are you feeling right now? Well, okay, Reema's asking, what are your feelings about LVAS employees that may want to join the protest? I'm going to defer to Vicki.
Well, this is just Vicki's world. I am a very liberal person, and interesting. We had this conversation earlier today. I'm a person that I'm a strong believer that people need to be activists. If I were 20 years younger, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. I would probably be somewhere marching. But that's just Vicki. That's who I am, because I feel that had someone not done this before me, I wouldn't be able to be a woman with an advanced degree, a woman that has an opinion, a woman that could to be able to make good decisions. I think someone did it for me, and I'm a firm believer. If any of you are around me, I'm always teach one, bring one. And what I mean by that is I always like to be able to teach someone. So whatever I've taught someone, I expect you to forward that over to someone else so that you will bring someone else into the struggle. So that's just me. So the question is, I'm all for activism, but I'm to be safe, and to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and to have and to have a voice. I agree that everyone should have a voice and an opinion, but that's just me. Um, I'm not like, fight the power, that kind of person. I just feel that we all have a struggle, and I just feel that everyone has a voice, should be heard. That's just my thoughts.
I don't have anything to say. Right? But now, Winsome said she's not going out there to protest because the virus is still out there. So I would suggest if you're going to protest, please take care of yourself.
I agree.
Wear a mask. COVID-19 still exists. It is still a very real thing, although it's kind of taking a back seat right now. Please, please, please take PPE with you.
Yeah.
Protect
Be
yourself.
safe. Be safe,
Please.
because I think so many people have gotten caught up that there still is COVID-19 out there. Um, just be safe. But again, whatever you decide, you need to make decisions that you're comfortable with.
And that you can live with.
Yeah.
You the decisions you make, whether you go to protest or not to protest, you will have to live with that. And you don't want to regret, I should have spoken up when I had the opportunity. And my way of speaking up is through protest. And you don't want to regret that later, or you don't want to say, man, I don't know why I went. I knew I was going to get pepper sprayed in the face and I should not have gone. So it's really, you have to live with your decisions.
Right. And be responsible.
Yeah. And I would say, me personally, I 100%, I anyone who's willing to protest and put a name and a face out in the public to have their views and their opinions heard, I think that is worth doing for whatever your cause is. Even if I disagree with it, you have the right to do that. What I would challenge us as not Black people, not white people, not employees, what I would challenge us as human beings is that whatever you are standing for, make sure it's something that your children, your grandchildren, your parents, your grandparents would look at and be proud of you for standing up for. Whether you agree or you disagree. I was looking at if you look at our workforce and how diverse we are, not just between Black and white, we have a whole lot of mixed individuals who I'm also assuming they are very conflicted right now. How should they feel? Do they feel the right thing? We want you to embrace your feelings and whatever you're doing, whatever you feel you need to do to be all right, as long as it's safe, that you're doing it.
Be safe.
Robert, that was really good. Robert said, have a plan. Know what you're going to do and why. I agree with that.
Yes. Don't get caught up in the moment, because that's when you lose your thoughts. So I agree with Robert. I agree with John. Have a plan. Let's get to the point.
Rachel said, can you all clarify on social media? We've all signed social media policies. Okay, so our social media policy is meant to protect the institution, not to deter you from sharing your personal opinion. So, for example, if you love Donald Trump, you can express that love for Donald Trump. That is not a violation of our social media policy. What our social media policy says is that what you post, it will not dehumanize, it will not defame, you will not use language that can be considered overly aggressive. It cannot be threatening in any way. That's what the policy says. Your beliefs are your beliefs, but how you express your beliefs in writing, that's what the policy gets to. Kaylee said, I think we've been very fortunate so far that the protests in the Lehigh Valley have been mild and peaceful. They're mild and peaceful now. I don't think they're going to stay that way.
I agree.
I am not expecting them to stay mild and peaceful. And right now, you're right, Kaylee. We are fortunate, but I think everyone's a little on edge. And when you're on edge, you tend to overreact and not underreact to things. So I could quite easily seeing a flashpoint happening, and things quickly getting out of control.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to what Robert said. There is no plan. So because there's no plan, it's easy to deviate to mischief, um, and people not doing, forgetting the cause. So if you're going to be one of those people out there, just remember, as Robert and everyone is saying, understand, have a plan, and understand why you're doing what you're doing.
It's Rima's question.
No.
Rima said, if someone does protest, do we have to stay out for 2 weeks?
Hmm.
Okay, can we define the question? So if you go to a protest, are you socially distancing? It's possible. Are you following all of the guidelines from the CDC, Department of Health? It is possible. So we can't just say protest. What we're going to ask you to do is, we have not talked about this.
We haven't. That's interesting.
Maybe a common sense approach. I don't know. Give us a minute.
Are you going to wear like a knight, like a suit of armor?
Yeah.
Whoever's going to do it.
I mean, they do have face shields.
Huh. That's an interesting. I didn't think about that.
I didn't.
Although I've heard a lot about people not practicing social distancing.
They are not practicing social distancing. No.
So I guess I would be out of work for like a month or so.
Yeah.
That's the old Vicky, but not the new Vicky.
Well, I think also this is part of having a plan. You have to be prepared. If you go to a protest, the person standing next to you has COVID. You contract COVID. You are now definitely out of work, whether you like it or not.
Right.
Can you afford to be out of work?
Those. Be responsible and think about the consequences. Should you decide to do something like that and you contract COVID, can you afford to be out of work?
Can I challenge everyone's thinking? So I think protests are a strong way of communicating your thoughts and your feelings. But is there another way that you can do it while being safe? I am in no way discouraging anyone from protesting, but for example, I have a daughter who has a congenital heart defect. Right, literally before we were 1 minute late getting on because my wife just called me and said, "Hey, just letting you know, one of the kids that my son was riding bikes with the other day, socially distancing on bikes, is really sick at home and is vomiting everywhere. Haley might get it. You need to know what's going on." So I don't feel comfortable protesting because if I bring something home to my house, it could be detrimental for my daughter. So I have to think ahead. You have to plan ahead. And what can you do to support? You might feel that there's nothing wrong in the world right now, but what can you do to support your right and be safe and have a plan? Infection control, it would be wise to stay out just as if you were traveling. Very true, Rachel. True. Are there any other questions or thoughts?
Well, let's go back. Can we backtrack? We would expect if you do protest to be honest because you have to work with your coworkers and consumers, and we're asking you to be not honest but responsible. So if you decide to, please be honest and let us know so that you do stay out of the office for 2 weeks.
I thought those were the shield.
Okay. No. So we did. That's just that. I think that's all we could require.
Yeah.
Just to be honest. Not that we don't want you to be able to express yourself, but there is life after expressing yourself.
How many? I'm just looking at the world between the.
Asking you a question.
John, if anyone got the virus in the company, it's hard for all of us because everyone in the company is close. You're absolutely right. Now, here's the thing. We've had one staff. We've had one staff diagnosed since this whole thing began about 6 weeks ago. And we minimized it. We cut it off at the head and we minimized it. We handled everything. So believe it or not, We have had one staff, zero consumers diagnosed. You all have done an outstanding job following the protocols, doing everything that we need to do. You have been wonderful. And it's because of that that we've been able to minimize everyone else's exposure. And it's because also you are responsible. The people who have been come in contact with someone else, everyone's been responsible.
Right. And you've heard of Are You My Brother's Keeper? Yes, you
Yes,
are.
you are.
So you all have done an awesome job, even just keeping each other safe, as well as keeping the company. So thank you.
So these are good questions, Rima. So when we move into yellow, which is still expected to be on Friday, and there can be gatherings of 25 or more people, are we still keeping employees out for 2 weeks? We have a task force that is responsible for providing recommendations to Vicki and I with how the company should proceed. Right now, a gathering of 25 or more is, while that is still safe, they're still expecting you to socially distance. They're not saying everybody, 25 people, go in a room together. That's not what that means. What they're saying is if you are at church, if you're at synagogue, if you're at a mosque, if you're in a grocery store, if you are at a recital, a funeral, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, a bat mitzvah, whatever you're going to, they're now allowing there to be at least 25 people, maximum of 25 people. That does not mean you should not practice social distancing. So we have been very conservative in our response, which is what has kept many of you healthy and safe. Those of you who have been called by HR know that if somebody says you look sick or you cough or you look weird, we put you out immediately. Yeah. Can we be tested after protest? Russ, that's a good question. Yes, you can be. So there's a couple of testing sites. Eastern Hospital is a testing center. They never have a line. Never have a line. So you can drive right up to Eastern Hospital. They can test you in your car. Are we still keeping employees? That same question. What I was going to ask earlier was with the state of the world and how crazy things are between the economy being down, COVID-19, Black Lives Matter. What are you doing to maintain your sanity? Anybody have any good ideas?
Besides working.
Yeah, we work.
Yeah. Well, I'm not only that, but most of our staff, we've been fortunate to not have to lay any of you off. So we know you're working. So what do you do besides work?
Praying. That's a good one, Jamelia. During COVID, what, Robert? What are you talking about?
Robert, we missed it.
Oh wait, Robert said if you've had a flu shot, you will most likely test positive for COVID. I got it. Interesting. Well, I have not had a flu shot, so.
Well, I had mine. Oh. Although I was at CVS yesterday, and they were actually doing a drive up at CVS
for flu shots.
No, for COVID.
Oh.
So.
Really?
Yeah, but you have to have Dave Copay told me you have to have a prescription.
Oh, to get the driver.
To get that, yeah, to do the driver. Yeah, you have a prescription from your doctor.
All right. Well, if there's no more comments, any last minute thoughts? Any last minute thoughts? I talk every day.
No. Any last minute thoughts for us? Be safe. Do your duties at the houses, since we're on the topic of this. Safety, health, and safety. Curfew.
So if Vicki brought up a good point right before we jumped on. If protests in our region, this is not just Allentown, this is not just Easton, Bethlehem, Nazareth, Peaburg. If anywhere near us imposes a curfew, that curfew will be imposed on all of our programs, all of our sites. Your vehicles residentially should not move without permission. Your car goes, you do not drive without permission. But if a curfew is imposed, there's other things we as a company have to do to ensure that if you're pulled over during the curfew, that you have the proper documentation. There's other things we have to do. So if a curfew is imposed, a mass email will go out notifying you of what to do, how to do it. Yep, we're right on the same page, Rima. Kendall, if they ask you to speak on the news and you're at a protest, I would say use the platform. I'm a big fan of use the platform you are given. Now, if you
talk about Lehigh Valley adult
yeah, I was going to say that now. What you talk about is different. Talk about your personal beliefs. You do not need to bring Lehigh Valley Adult Services into it. So please, if someone interviews you, takes your picture for the newspaper,
shout out Lehigh Valley?
No.
Okay. Don't shout us out.
Don't shout us out. And it's not because we don't support what you're doing. It's because not all of us are well equipped to speak on behalf of Lehigh Valley Adult Services.
We don't need you to portray that you're winning an Academy Award like I like to think.
Yeah, no, please don't. Please don't. Don't do that. Please. Please don't do that. Yes, but I don't think the letters that we sent out, Rima, I don't know if they are just specifically, I have to go back and read what they say. We did send out the letters, but I don't know if they're specific for COVID or if they're just generalized.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. So we have John has to look over and we have to make adjustment. We have to make an adjustment, John.
We'll send another one.
Yeah.
Rima, you've had a lot to say today. Does anyone else have any comments? Anything else? Final thoughts, man?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Thank you all.
All right. That's it. See you tomorrow. All right.